Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to PMDC online lecture room. I am Miss Fazeelat, lecturer in English at PMDC Peshawar. Today we are going to start our drama. This is Abraham Lincoln, written by John Drinkwater. In previous two videos I told you in detail about the historical background of this drama, and which is also related and interlinked to these videos, in which I am going to summarize each and every scene. Keep in mind students that the previous lectures are interrelated to these videos, and hope those videos will help you a lot in understanding further the drama reading. So the drama actually has 6 scenes. I'm going to start from scene 1, which was the critical time. So let me talk first about the setting of the drama, or setting of this scene 1. This scene has been set in 1860, when the quarrel between northern and southern states of America on the issue of slavery had taken a serious turn. As discussed in historical background of the drama, that at that time when Abraham Lincoln for the first time came into the government, so he was exposed to lots of problems, one of which was the Civil War in America, which was the great and critical issue at that time. So this scene is actually related to that time when the country was at the brink of civil war. The Republican Party was struggling hard to find a competent man to conduct the state affairs and save the country from imminent danger. So the choice of Republican Party ultimately fell on Abraham Lincoln, a notable lawyer and politician known for his honesty and patriotism. So they sent their representatives for Lincoln's approval in Springfield in early spring of the same year. Now let me tell you about the setting of scene 1. So the setting of this scene 1 is the parlor or sitting room of Abraham Lincoln's house at Springfield, Illinois, early in 1860. And Mr. Stone, who is a farmer, and Mr. Coffeny, a storekeeper, both men of between 50 and 60, are sitting before a fire one evening in early spring, and it is dusk, but the curtains are not drawn. The men are smoking in silence. Now both Mr. Coffeny and Mr. Stone, they have come prior to the arrival of the delegation. These two old friends of Lincoln, Mr. Stone and Mr. Coffeny, called upon him to wish him well in the great decision he was going to make that evening. Abraham Lincoln being absent, so both of the friends, Mr. Coffeny and Mr. Stone, they smoked in the sitting room and discussed the prospects. Mr. Stone declared that unlike John Brown, Lincoln would fight out the question of slavery throughout constitutional means. So meanwhile, Mrs. Lincoln was announced by the maid Susan. She asked Mr. Stone to stop smoking because this was unliked by Mrs. Lincoln. She told them that on their inquiry that Mr. Lincoln was going to accept the offer of the Republican under her guidance. She disclosed that though she had a few differences with her husband, yet she gave him the tip to go forward at the right moment. So the moment had come and she would let him go. Mr. Coffeny expressed his doubt that simple ways of Lincoln might not be appreciated by worldly men, while Mr. Stone was quoting the words of John Brown about the slavery at the time of his death, that the end of it is not yet. So Lincoln stepped in the room meanwhile, and he explained to them, to Mr. Stone and Mr. Coffeny, that actually John Brown fought for the right thing, but he fought it in a wrong way, rebelling against the laws and rules of the country. So he was polite to his friends and told them that he was feeling humble rather than proud at that moment. He would never have thought of accepting the offer if he could possibly refuse. Mr. Lincoln also thanked his friend for their coming and for their good wishes. Mr. Lincoln also entertained them with cordial toasting to honest friends and America. Then we see in this scene first that this delegation for which Mr. Stone and Mr. Coffeny came for good wishes and for which Mr. Lincoln was waiting. So finally that delegation came. The delegation comprising Mr. Henn, Mr. Price, Mr. Mackintosh, headed by Mr. Tucker, arrived at 7 p.m. Tucker took no time in informing him about their business. Mr. Price conveyed to Mr. Lincoln that the Republican candidate was sure to win on account of a rift among the Democrats. So Lincoln, on the other hand, pointed out to them that his personal shortcomings are quite visible and people might object them. He asked them to have a clear picture of the situation in their mind before finalizing their choice. He also frankly told them that his policy, if resist, might cause bloodshed. He then left them alone to consider the situation. They unanimously appreciated their gesture and confirmed that they accepted him as he was unconditionally. He was also given assurance that he would be executing his policies without any interference, and he would be extended all cooperation he wanted from his subordinates, including Mr. Civet, the major and great rival of Abraham Lincoln in this political field. Lincoln had now no other alternative except telling them yes, so he accepted their proposal. So this was the end of scene one, on which the delegation came and Mr. Lincoln said yes to their offer, and finally he was chosen as the president of USA. So hope students you got all the important point of scene 1. Better to read the text of scene 1 and try to relate this video with that scene, and you will definitely understand, and it will also help you answering questions such as who was John Brown, how his struggle is different from Lincoln, and how he struggled against slavery, etc. So the story will be further proceeded in scene 2. So I will be there with scene 2 with extra information about the drama and many other characters.